Okay, my friends, this is incredible, and it's true. They cannot account for dark matter whatsoever. So now they have a new theory that it's dark energy making the whole universe expand. Literally insanity. Now I'm going to show you what is dark matter right now. Okay, my friends, let's think about what is in space before we decide about the expansion and all that. Here is a galaxy. And there are tons of galaxies, so let's just concentrate on this one. Light coming from this galaxy has to come through everything else that's in space before it can get to us. Now let's talk about the Hubble Constant. Now don't forget, we're one of the little particles in here somewhere. Our sun is one of these glowy little spots. Okay, now let's talk about what those glowy spots give off, which is solar wind. We're just nothing more than a star, a solar object. Solar wind is a stream of charged particles released from the atmosphere of the sun called the corona. The plasma mostly consists of electrons, protons, and alpha particles. Tiny light, really, with kinetic energies between 0.5 and 10 kilo electron volts. The composition of the solar wind plasma also includes a mixture of materials found in the solar plasma, heavy ions, atomic nuclei, such as carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, neon, magnesium, silicon, sulfur, iron. They're all the same particles that are in blood. Some other nuclei of potassium, chromium, iron, nickel, all of that stuff. That's nothing more than what's in blood. And that fills the regions of space. And our astronauts say when they go out of their spacesuits, it smells like steak when they come back, because this is nothing more than burning metals. You see this? Space may be a giant airless vacuum, but astronauts swear it has an odor. They sniff the aroma. It's like burning metal, steak, welding gases, among other peculiar olfactory memories. Space has its own unique smell. NASA astronaut Scott Kelly said. They all say the same thing. That when they come in and they take their suits off in the airlock, they say it smells like a sirloin. Well, I understand this. I have a welding machine, and all it is an iron, is like a rod of metal. All right, an iron. What a welding machine does is it burns these different metals into other different substrate metals, and it burns it right into them, and then you get all these gases coming off. You can smell them, and they smell like the things that they're talking about, welding and burning steak, because that's all it is. Everything in space, I'm sorry, everything out there is biological. It's time for a whole new idea of everything. It's got to start today. You see that? This is the solar wind. And what did it say was in the solar wind? All the same metals that are in blood, the exact same metals. They're metals. Where'd they have to come from? They had to come from the sun. Where else they come from? That's what's in the solar wind. Now, first of all, that's what the sun is made of, is all those metals. Second of all, space is not empty. It's absolutely not empty. It's saturated with particles, and they know this. Let me show you some information that comes back from 2013. They understand, but they can't let their minds speak. Or I can't believe they don't understand, because it's so obvious that a child could understand this. So all I can assume is that they're afraid of their positions, because they will be attacked, as I was, as Velikovsky was, as everybody is. Nobody's ever come against me one single time that my evidence is not correct. No, not once. All they do is say, don't ever talk to us again. Okay, so this is a solar eclipse, which means that the moon is completely covering the disk of the sun. So in other words, normally we just see a big bright thing. Now we're seeing the radiance going out like this. These are particles. This is stuff that's being spewed out from the sun. Now, what can we determine just by looking at this picture? This is a pole, and that's the other pole. Straight out. This is the scrub zone. it's spinning in this direction, which means that this side is moving forward first of all, and it's spinning this way, scrubbing in these areas harder than it is over here. That's why you see these red spots. These are the sunspots. They're the glowy spots, because I believe they might even be like hills and mountains or whatever on the sun, bump spots, because they're impacting harder. Now, you do get a harder impact because we're moving forward through the galaxy, just like I showed you before. I'll show you another picture of how it works. And spinning at the same time, us and the sun. We're behind the sun, we're traveling through its particles. All the light that comes to us is slowing down or speeding, slowing down. It's not that the planets are going away and the rest of the system is going away from us that fast. It might be, but it's certainly, you have to account for these particles that are in the way. All right, this is how it's all going. We're being ripped on the arm of the galaxy just like everybody else. So the sun is hitting whatever is in front of it. So everything out there is crashing into the sun. It's being spun, and you see this little stuff that's coming off the edge? All of us are going behind, going through these particles. Light from us, in every direction, we have to get through all of the stuff that's out there. It's not a vacuum. They know this. This is insanity for them to continue to this. Okay, I'm just have to tell you, Einstein was wrong about literally everything he said. Maybe it's time to reconsider. Yeah, maybe it is. The universe expanding at an accelerating rate. Not necessarily. Physicists don't know why, because it's not happening, that's why. This phenomenon seems to contradict everything scientists understand about gravity effect on the cosmos. It does, because they just don't understand what they're even looking at. It's as if you threw an apple in the air, instead of it coming back down, it continued upward faster and faster. No, it's slowing down. Let me just show you what they're talking about with the redshift. This is why everything's wrong. The redshift in Hubble's law. He thinks there's nothing in space, so the light coming to us is just because it's stretching, because everything's going away. So let's say here we are on Earth. Out here they're looking at some gigantic planet system out here. And they see it like it's going away and away and away and away and away and away like that, faster and faster. Well, I say no. It's out here, and the light's coming to us, and it's slowing. That's all. These things are not going away. Maybe they are, but they're not going faster than the speed of light now, because the speed of light is not supposed to be able to get ahead of. And they say we're going faster than the speed of light. It's 100 years ago, 1929. They know now that it's saturated with particles. Nobody can get their mind to work anymore. It's absolutely unbelievable. Okay, we know that space is filled with all these particles, and the smallest ones are the ions, the ionized gases, which are these black and white particles. And I never knew it, but they can separate in zero gravity, and I can actually prove that. And I will show you that. But this is from Fermilab. This is Don Lincoln from 2013. It's almost 10 years ago. There's the black fixed particle, there's the white gushy one, and that's exactly what we found. It says, in summary, extended particles, the black one, have a fixed size, but they have a fuzzy edge, agreed. Point-like particles are mathematical extractions. There's a zero size, I'm not certain about that, but they certainly don't have much mass, but extremely hot. Even zero-size particles have extended effect due to the effect of their field surrounding them. The black particles have no fields. They're attractive only, but they're attractive as hell. But they don't give off anything. They don't absorb any light. They don't emit any light. They're dark. That is the dark matter attached to the light. We've only ever seen the light before. But these are the particles that go into space. And again, Don Lincoln knows this. Here's Don Lincoln again. Quantum foam, same time frame, 2013. Same time we were doing this stuff. And he says empty space isn't empty. Exactly, it's filled with the particles of light. Now at the same time, Cornell was seeing the same particles we were seeing, the neutrino nucleus, quasi-elastic, 2p2h, two holes, two particles. And we were actually measuring these with smartphone sensors, looking at cosmic ray muons. That's what a muon is. Muon's a muon. They were looking at them from cosmic rays. We were creating them, and we still can create them today. All right, so how much can I prove? This is what they see in the particle accelerators at the smallest level. There's a black one and a little white one. This is Fermilab. That's the one from Don Lincoln. Now, what did we find? We found the exact same particles, only we found them using light. They're smashing protons. Protons are not one big ball. A proton is not like that. A proton is like this. And every one of these is a black and a white, is a little bar magnet. They're little tiny bar magnets. And once you put a whole batch of them together, they make into a proton. A proton is 1,835 of these little bar magnets. Two of these little bar magnets back to back is a photon, and this is a photon. So what Don Lincoln and the rest of them can see when they smash this to bits, which we can do too, we can see the black all by itself and when we see the white. But normally you would never see that. You have to create muons to do that, and neutrinos, which we did. And how did we do it? We accelerated light. Not supposed to be able to happen. Yes, we did. It accelerated right here. At this point, the black and the white separated. There it is right there. The black came away from the white. This is absolutely stunningly crystal clear whiteness. All right, the black comes right back instantaneously. As soon as it slows down a smidge and stops vibrating, the black jumps right back as gravity. And here it is right here. Muon neutrino, electron neutrino, when they're together. Right? Muon neutrino, electron neutrino. You see? The black one is dark matter. There it is right there. Now, when they split apart, they create a hell of a lot of energy. This is fission and this is fusion. We did this, and we could do this all day long. All right, this represents almost 10 years of research on light and energy, and well, I've been 50 years of dipole-dipole theory, which means there is nothing but dipoles. This big proton positive and tiny little electron negative does not work. Standard model, forget it, it doesn't work. What are we looking at here? This is pulsed red laser. Now, this is starting to accelerate because we have a Venturi down here which creates a Warren effect, which crushes fields. It separates the particles. What is all this stuff? What's all these little dots all over the place? Those are other gases in the air. Gases have particles attached to them too. They glow when they're impacted by other fields, and that's exactly what's happening. This is just like a rocket ship coming through the air. Now, normally it would stay pretty much like this, but all of a sudden it's seeing this Venturi and getting ready to rocket ship out of here. And here's the rocket ship coming out. All right, I showed you the particles. They're black and white. And there's 4 of them together. There's 2 blacks and 2 whites stuck together, and they travel down as a beam of light. And I'm going to show you the actual particles in a second. But this is as they start to accelerate. You can see the wave is accelerating. The particle is pulling itself out. And here it starts to really concuss and start to glow. And here's where it breaks apart. And this is because there's a Venturi here. And it only allows the tiniest particle to come through. It's tuned for the white. So the white can get through, the black cannot. These are the blacks. They come right in back. They want to be back to that white desperately. So they start to grab back in right here and around, of course, around. As soon as they can get a slow enough white, boom, it grabs back in. Now, what is all this? What the hell's going on here? These are light waves, the same as this one is. Only you never see them because they're not energetic enough. This one's energetic enough to be seen because it's being accelerated due to the Venturi. These are being seen because they're being slammed back by energy going this way. That's reverse electromagnetic radiation. Reverse. Normally it comes this way. Now, what else happened? You see all these little glowy particles everywhere, glowing like hell? Anytime you see glow, that's energy. The glowier the glow, the energier the energy. Simple as that. More glow, more energy. Less energy back here, incredible amounts of energy here. And I believe they claim, and if it's true, when you can create sterile muons, which we did, the black particles, and electron showers, you can create, which are muon, the muons are supposedly trillions of electron volts. Light is only millions of electron volts. So what you have, or what we have created here, is enough energy to have a ton of excess energy, which means free energy, and we can squirt it. We don't just have it in a big bomb that goes off and you can see it, and you know, we can actually squirt it right onto a solar collector. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. But I can't get Fermilab to listen to me, and I'm showing everything that Don Lincoln showed almost 10 years ago. And they refuse to engage because I'm not peer reviewed. And I said, will you peer review me? No, they won't. So here we sit. And don't forget, this is a single slit. They call these interference patterns. They are not interference patterns. They're repulsion patterns. The whites want other whites to stay away from them. And the blacks jump in and just zip, they fill right in between them. And so you get these separations. I'll stay on my lane, you stay on yours, I'll stay on mine, you stay on yours, that type of thing. Here it's all kind of confused because this is where the main... Light does spin, yes. So some are going to spin coming off this way, and some are going to spin coming off this way. So when it comes through, you've got light going over this way, and you've got light coming under going over this way. And can I prove that? Yes, I can. I prove every single word I'm saying. All right, the slit is right here. And it's just a big long slit. Light is spinning like this. So sometimes it goes off to this direction, and we see it coming over here. And sometimes it goes off to this direction, and we see it over here. Because the slit's here. It goes under the slit and over. It comes over the top of the slit in this way. That's all it is. It's on both sides. These are separation patterns because the energy parts just get away from me, get away from me, you get away, you get away, you get away, and they just zip right down the line, just like this, setting up these interference patterns, which are really repulsion patterns. All right, now getting back to this redshift nonsense. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. They think we're here on, the particle here is not slowing down. Obviously it's just slowing down. It's coming in hotter than hell right here. You see it? It's hot, it's hot, it's hot right here. It's spinning, and it's just almost going straight so fast that we see no drift. And then it starts to drift. And it's spinning this way, which means it would drift. The particle would drift, it's spinning to the right, this way. And the particle drifts to the left. Coming in hotter than hell and slowing down. You telling me light can't slow down? What do you think is happening? All right, you want to see redshift? They think the light is coming out here at a bazillion miles an hour. I'm sorry. All right, this is redshift. Light hitting us is stretched out. And they say, well, it shouldn't be stretched out. It should be just perfectly at its correct wavelength. But it's stretched out. The only way that could happen is if everything was going away from us, stretching that wave out. Well, it's obviously not that. It's when it started out here, they're coming fast, but it's coming through the galaxy with all this stuff in front of it, and it's banging and spinning and slowing into it, and it's stretching out. This is a stretched wave. Here it's coming in hot. I'm proving every single thing I'm saying. Now, they can't prove a single word they're saying. That's light slowing down. It's blue laser. Blue is fast as hell. That's why you don't see it like the green and the red. Let me show you the green and the red. But by the time it gets way out to this end, you start to see it, the two particles together. Because as I showed you before, there's two blacks and two whites. All right, let's see if you can follow me through on this one. Remember I told you there's a venturi here. The black balls are fixed. They can't change. They're one size fits all. They don't go anywhere, and they can't get through this tiny slit. The red ones can get big and little. Now, when you start off with light, it looks something like this. It looks like an Oreo cookie. It's got a black on the top, a white in the middle, and a black on the bottom. I can't explain it. But then as it starts to stack up, the photons start to show up, the two blacks and the two whites. All right, you see them right there? Now, that's right here. All right, then they pile up right here at the Venturi, which is right here. Whoops, you can't see that, can you? Nope, you can't. All right, so the blacks and the whites coming together, and then they pack up here. The blacks can't get through, the whites get all blurry and crazy and squirt through in one big stream, just like a shower, which is what they call electron shower, and I agree. These are the particles, the blacks and the whites together, and they start to make that shape, which normally they would be something like this, or not even seen. Really, you wouldn't see them. You don't see them. You don't see them up here. They're starting to get concussed over here, so you're starting to see some particle formation, but you don't even see them as particles at all until they become in this extreme compressed condition. Now, what happens here? This one's spinning. Remember I showed you the blue one? That was all one particle. This is all the same particle too. And it's spinning this way. You see the black now is in the back and the black is in the front here. They charge up. The white one will charge up here and it'll flip to the back, and this white one will come out front to take over. And that's how they make their spin. It's the concussion of the white against what is coming into it. It charges up, flips, charges, flips, chip, 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 chip. Then here it exploded and separated. Now, I never thought they could separate, but actually they can separate a lot easier than I thought. And I can show you that because in outer space, in zero gravity, they seem to be able to separate very easily. And I'll show you that from, well, you'll see it. Now, let's take one more look at this. All right, if we can shoot these photons down, separate the muons from the electron showers, which we did, fission, they come back here as fusion. Right here we should be able to harvest. This would be the harvester. Just like a solar collector. You shoot your lasers through here, I mean real high-powered ones. And what they claim now is instead of like 5 watts here, you should get 1,000 watts, maybe even much more than that on the other side. Just look at this. This is what they claim. This is not my claim. They claim muons convert into trillions of electron volts. You know, you're less than millions of electron volts to create this. Electron volts are energy. It takes that much energy, less than a million, to create trillions. If that's true, this is all free energy. And we should be able to harvest it within weeks. We should be able to have this up and running and get free energy. Now, this is being denied because I'm not peer reviewed. That's the problem with the educational system. I'm glad to see the thing collapse. We need it collapse. We need to start over. And I'm going to be honest with you. Right now, as far as I'm concerned, I own all the sciences. All of them. Geology, you know, physics, energy, light, chemistry. Chemistry is completely wrong. This is not right, not even by a long shot. Hydrogen is 1,835 particles, not one. We have to start over. Everything has to start over with electron flood theory. And maybe we could get free energy and save everything. Here's another shot with blue. I believe this is coming through glass. You see how tight the separations are here? And then they separate. This is slowing down. It's quite obviously slowing down. It's not that this is going away faster than, it's crazy. It's going this direction. You see it spitting out here in the front? It's coming fast. It's the same thing as coming towards us from anywhere in space. Hubble is a total waste as far as trying to figure out where all the other galaxies are going. Plus, if you went by Hubble, we are the center of the universe. Everything else is going away from us. Everything's going away from us. How could that possibly be? It's you can't speak up. I know that some of them have been following me, and they know, and they use pseudonyms. They don't talk about themselves because they don't want to be heard speaking, but they agree with me. And the problem is they can't speak. Just like I've been crushed, Velikovsky was crushed. Nobody can get into that realm. Education has to be just started over again. And that's why I'm going to offer core curriculum of everything, because geology is 100% wrong. This is a goose. That's a goose. It died in the Great Flood, which is denied by all of the academics. That's his feathers in the back of his head. That's a goose. And they all have flat side because they died in a Great Flood. So we got history is wrong, geology is wrong, physics is wrong, the subatomic particles totally wrong. Energy, we should be able to have free energy doing the things I'm talking about right now, today. I mean, almost instantly. This is all solid state. It's on the shelves. It just has to be put together, engineered correctly, and then marketed. And then we can maybe save our planet. How about that? See, here again, there's the black and white particles. It's this dark matter. That is gravity and dark matter. The white is what we have always considered to be the electron. But an electron is attached to another particle, which is the muon. Now let me show you in space, they can actually separate themselves quite easily. I was shocked. All right, this is almost too outrageous to believe, but it's true. This is from 2015, 2014 maybe, where the Russians went out and they took a vacuum chamber. A vacuum chamber just means a container that has no particles of anything inside of it. It's completely empty of particles, which we know now space is not empty of particles, it's saturated with particles. So, what did they do after that? They took ionized particles. Well, you heard me talk about the sun primarily puts out ionized particles. That's what they do. Now, what did they do with these ionized particles, which are dust particles, tiny little dust particles? It's the same the stuff that the sun is spitting out, which is solar wind. They're basically dust particles with ions, charges to them. They shot them in here. Now, what did they expect to happen in this vacuum chamber in zero gravity? Here's the key, zero gravity. They did the same experiment on Earth, nowhere near the same. Now, here's what happened. They shot them in here. And the guys on Earth are watching, and they're expecting these little white particles to push each other away. They don't like each other. The white ones hate each other. Stay away, you stay away, I'll stay away, you stay away. But instead, they did this, and they freaked out. He said that during the experiment, we contacted the Earth guys who couldn't believe it either. This is the Russians. He said a guy from Max Planck locked himself in his office for 3 weeks because he freaked out. Nobody expected this. They expected to see stripes of dots going this way and that way, everybody pushing each other away, so it created like a fabric lattice work. No, this shows up. Exactly what I expected. If these could separate, and now we know they can. This proves electron flood theory right here. All right, here's the key. For every ion, which means it's charged negatively with one of these glowy bits, there's a dark particle. Well, we have excessive number of glowy bits, so we have an excessive number of dark particles. The glowy bits get attracted to dark, but dark can stay right on top of itself, so it forms right in the center. Just as I can show you in our experiments, the dark doesn't care about being right on top of itself, but the white says, get the hell away from me. But they have to be sucked to the black. The black sucks white. And they just boom, and I'll show you the experiment. They bounce. It's like pull, and that's what happens. That's gravity. And every white has a dark. The darks appear to collect easily on top of themselves, creating these black holes. Everybody's talking black hole, dark matter. Nobody has a clue what it is. There it is, and that's what it does. Now don't forget, for every glowy bit, there's a dark bit. These are the glowy bits, there's the dark bits. They collect in the center because, again, all the white ones want to collect onto the black ones so they can push them to the center in zero gravity, not on Earth. Totally different situation. Okay, so the substandard model is done. Bohr is no more. The new model is electron flood theory. Solves 100% of material interactions. You show me anything, I can explain every single thing, including global warming, which they don't understand. We're scrubbing through all these particles in space with our atmosphere into the atmosphere that's in space, not a vacuum, which creates the ionosphere, which is a scrubbed particle zone of billions and zillions of electrons because they're scrubbing with the billions and zillions of other electrons, ionized particles, and it creates an envelope around our Earth of 2,700 degrees. I believe that's Fahrenheit. So right out here is our ionosphere. And that's just our atmosphere. The top of our atmosphere is the ionosphere. We spin and we scrub, and that scrub zone is the heat zone. That's what's coming down. Now, how much is hitting us is going to affect how much comes down. Absolutely. So when the sun gets overactive and spits out more, we're going to get overactive and spit out more. Or if the sun comes into a more dense space and region in space, obviously it's going to get excited. We're going to get excited. Everything depends on what we're impacting with. Simple as that. But right now, we've burnt so much stuff on the face of this planet, converted so much solid things into gases that the atmosphere is, it's either really compressed now, and that's why we're getting these terrible, terrible raging storms because of compression. Compression creates floods and heat and all that stuff. And or it's just expanding so much that we're getting a much more scrub zone. But the expansion of the gases is the problem. That's the problem. Carbon is not the best thing to have floating around. No, but it's not the reason we're overheating. That has very, very, very little to do with it. It's the compression of the as we spin through all of the particles in space. I've shown this, I think, pretty damn well. Now, if we don't start paying attention to the reality that we're in, including geology, again, I showed you my buddy Caesar here. He's a goose, Caesar Augustus. There's his feathers. And now I have my stuff as DNA tested. There's one over here. It's a lung. They must have somebody qualified as an anatomist somewhere that could look at that and say, gee, Roger, that probably is a lung. Well, I have had them look at it, and it is. And I've had it DNA tested, and it is a lung. And this is the fascia, the pleura that coats it. Now, so we know that the timeline of history is totally wrong. The things about geology is totally wrong. We know that light is totally different than they said. We know that it slows down, it speeds up. I've shown all these things, and they understand all these things, but they won't talk about them, and they think Hubble still works, and they're worried about the expansion of the universe. It's absolute insanity. I can't believe it. And this is not like the first day I've been talking about this. I have hundreds of videos about this. My first video about this was from 2015, I believe. And at that time, the research was completely done. So what is education to you? Is education being just told to say what you're told to say and not be able to say, let's examine something? That's what education is now. So I'm thrilled to see this problem come up, because we're going to be able to solve it, and I'm going to solve it by offering you free of charge, hopefully, if somebody, because everything costs a little bit of money here and there, but I'm just going to make these classes free of charge. Copy, anybody can send them anywhere they want for free. Put them on CDs, take them to places and play them on CD players, even in factory buildings, and set up little booths of geology and electronics and space and all that as you're watching these CDs, and float the CDs around, play around with them, and have the kids actually interact rather than just be told, here's what you say and then you're smart. That's not education. Trust me. We got to start over, and today is the day to start over. All right, so Mudfossil University will offer a core curriculum, which means here's how energy works, here's how electricity works, here's how this. Now, you take it for what it's worth. I'm going to show you what they say. I'm going to show you what I can prove. I'm not going to say something that I can't prove. Everything I showed you, if you could tell me something I showed you that I can't prove, I want to hear about it. I can prove every single word I said. Not one thing, not one claim or statement I have made is not backed by material evidence. All right, so, and you know, the crazy thing is, I'm in the United States, and I am one town over, literally 5 minutes away from the Secretary of Education. And I tried to contact him, and I wasn't successful. And I could show him, have him over for a cup of tea, literally 5 minutes away. And all this stuff, I can guarantee you in his backyard, he's got the exact same stuff. This particular area, all of these rocks turned into mud fossils because of the Great Flood. It's exactly what it was. They all flat as a pancake. All right, it's time to wake up and smell the mud fossils. I'm saying that, this is reality. You see that right there? That's dark matter right there. And its energy is attractive, not expansive. These are expanders. These are killers. These are the white ones, these white particles right here. The black one is right there. This is from Fermilab. They can find these particles. They see them. They know they're there. Only we can see them in light. They see them as debris. And they say, well, these are the smallest particles there is, so that's just, and then they can describe what they do, which is correct. The black one is just fixed. It cannot squirt through the venturi that we created. The white ones are fuzzy, squirty, and they can squirt right through. And that's what happened here at the venturi. The white ones can squirt through, the black ones cannot. Here is the venturi right here. Black separated, which is the muons. Muons are supposed to be trillions of electron volts. Trillions. Which it looks like it to me. It could very well be. I mean, that is just absolutely stunning amount of energetic reaction with no additional input. All it was the fields are crushed. So if we can harvest it right there, because we can squirt it right onto a substrate, I think we can get free energy. And if we could squirt that onto something like this right here, and pick it up just like a solar collector, it doesn't get any better than that. Because that is free energy. If it's just trillions of volts here and it started with millions here, that's a hell of a big increase. All right, this is what we can do. You see these? These are Higgs fields. These are Higgs on steroids, I call them, and we can squirt right down and create those. These are those white electron showers coming through there in that focused funneled beam, and then exploding as they. This is what you would call Cherenkov radiation, creates Higgs fields, it appears to me. All right, this is a pretty deep research on light and its energetic values and so forth. And they're bringing it down to where I am. Gluons, strange, charm, bottom. Pictures here is the strange node. They don't really understand any of this. But that's what these different colors represent. These different, weights. And weight to me is mass. I'm not sure what they're thinking, to be perfectly honest with you, when they talk about weight. But the key here is they're talking about truth-based PID inputs for the jets. Electron, muon, proton, pion, kaon, all of these different words, charm and strange and bottom and all that. Well, let me show you those particles. Let me show you actually the particles. All right, I think I showed you the Higgs fields we have, and they're looking for strange quarks probe for new physics in the Higgs sector. Well, yeah, new physics has to start from somewhere. Somebody's got to stand up. And this paper is it's pretty deep, and they're showing a lot of things that are not going to make any sense to most people, and a lot of them don't make any sense to me either. But I can tell you what, light spins. You see that? They're showing a spin. I can show you that. That's no question whatsoever. I can show you a lot of the things that they're saying. And I can also show you that the black particles don't mind being on top of each other. Now they're talking about all these different gluons and so forth. Let me show you the confusion matrix. All right, this is from CERN. And these are the muons they want to see. It's supposed to be trillions of electron volts. These are the electron showers they want to see coming from the electron neutrino. As they separate, they create Cherenkov radiation, and that's it. Now, so this is the dark matter, the muon, and here it is right here. Now, remember I said the blacks don't mind being right on top? You see this over here? They're just laying right next to each other. I couldn't care less. They're all over each other. You see them? They're just waiting for some white particles to come through to grab onto. They don't care about being in globs. They cluster right on top of each other. These guys stay the hell away from me. That's why you get these repulsion patterns. All right, which is the showers. The other ones, they don't mind, so they stay just, and this one here has very little mass, but hell of a, a glow to it. The other one has no glow. It doesn't absorb, it doesn't emit, it doesn't do anything other than attract. And boy, does it attract. All right, this is red laser light, and as you can see, it spins. Wherever they intersect with each other, the white ones don't want to be next to other white ones. That's why they glow. They're pushing, they're shoving. The black ones, they couldn't care less. They just want to be in here trying to get a hold of the white ones. That's why you see this black, they're trying to grab a hold of them. And they'll collect onto them again. But right now, they're basically separated, spinning like hell. Okay, got a lot of interruptions, so I'm sure I showed you this before, or I will again. This is the particles that Fermilab and CERN have found. This one has almost nothing to it other than glow. This one has just a solid, like a bowling ball. We created them. We separated them. We created sterile muons and electron showers and did all the things that CERN would like to see, which totally changes the standard model of physics. It is dipoles. The only thing that exists are these two particles, an electron neutrino and a muon neutrino, right there. They can separate. I'll show you all this stuff in great detail. We need to do something about the educational system. Now is just the perfect time to do it because it's collapsing on its own anyway. Now, apparently this is the same group. They're talking about dark energy not being attractive, it's being expansive. Well, this totally goes against creating a dark black hole. Anyway, they can't account for something, so they're making things all up. I did hear on PBS the same story about, well, maybe we had it all wrong. Maybe it's just expanding. Why don't they take a look at the things I'm showing? Then maybe we can make an accurate determination. At least I can be invalidated and thrown to the side, but to be ignored for this many years is just not acceptable. We're talking about education. We're talking about moving forward instead of walking around in circles to protect jobs and so forth. And that's what it's come down to.